The film opens with four members of a special forces unit relaxing while playing cards. But instead of betting money, they wager their weapons. Each of them has a particular specialty. Rocky is the strategist. Pochi handles transportation. Jansen is the expert in technology and communication. And Cougar is the team's reliable sniper. They are all led by a colonel named Clay, and at this moment, they have just received a mission from a mysterious CIA agent known as Max. Their objective is to head to Bolivia and mark a compound belonging to Fadil, a cartel leader involved in drug trafficking and illegal arms deals. When they arrive, they quickly locate the target and mark the building for an airstrike that is scheduled to hit in 8 minutes. But the situation changes when they notice that the compound is holding children who are about to be used as forced labor. Seeing this, Colonel Clay contacts Max to call off the strike. Max refuses. He insists the bombing must continue no matter what. With no other choice, Clay and his team storm the compound to rescue the children before the jets arrive. A fierce firefight breaks out. Clay orders Jansen and Pochi to steal a vehicle for their escape, while he heads inside to free the children one by one. One of the children tells Clay that her younger sibling has been taken upstairs for punishment. Without hesitation, Clay rushes to the second floor. There he finds the child, but he also comes face to face with Fadil himself. A brief standoff follows. Surprisingly, Fadil lets the child go. But before Clay leaves, Fadil warns him that he and his team are being set up by the CIA, and that Max intends to eliminate them. Clay has no time to process the warning. He shoots Fadil and escapes with the child. With less than 20 seconds before the airstrike hits, the team races toward the stolen vehicle and speeds away as fast as they can. The missile hits the compound behind them, sending a massive explosion into the air. They manage to survive and continue toward the extraction point. But when they arrive, only one helicopter is waiting. The pilot explains that there is not enough room for everyone. Clay makes the difficult choice to send the children first. He and his team are experienced enough to survive on their own. The helicopter lifts off. Then suddenly the roar of jet engines fills the air. A fighter jet fires directly at the helicopter, destroying it and killing everyone on board. That attack was ordered by the CIA. They wanted Clay and his team gone, even if it meant killing 25 innocent children. Realizing they had been betrayed, Clay and his team removed their military name tags and threw them into the burning wreckage of the helicopter. The world would believe they were dead. From that moment on, they had only one goal: revenge. They had just lost everything, even their own names. This is The Losers. 4 months passed. Clay and his team were still hiding in Bolivia. They took whatever work they could find to survive and slowly gather money to return to the United States. Clay and Rocky spent their time at cockfighting arenas. Jansen and Cougar worked in a toy factory, and Pochi found a job as a mechanic at a local workshop. After losing a bet at the arena, Clay spoke to Rocky about wanting to track down Max, the man who betrayed them. All this time, Max had only communicated through the phone. Clay had never seen his face, but Rocky believed it was pointless. They were no longer soldiers, just 5 men, alone, against the CIA. Frustrated, Clay went to a bar to drink. There he met a woman named Julia, who seemed immediately drawn to him. Something about her felt suspicious, but out of boredom and loneliness, Clay entertained her attention. The two ended up together at a motel, and what began as a flirtation quickly turned into a fight. The motel went up in flames. After investigating the aftermath of the helicopter crash months earlier, Julia had figured out that Clay and his team were still alive by counting the number of teeth found in the wreckage. She had been searching for them. Her offer was simple. She would help Clay return to America, but only if he joined her in hunting down Max. Clay agreed. Julia gave them a meeting point for the next day. The team gathered at a cemetery to hear what she had to say. Some of them were uneasy. Clay had a history of bad luck when it came to women. Julia arrived with crucial information. Max would be in Miami for 4 days. He would be heavily guarded, protected by armored vehicles and 30 armed men. Julia had the connections to smuggle Clay and his team back into the United States and fund the entire operation. But there was one condition. Max had to be captured alive. After a moment of silence, the team agreed. The mission to face the CIA and settle an old score had officially begun. Meanwhile, in Dubai, we finally see the real face of Max. He appears as a successful businessman, always accompanied by his right-hand man, Wade. But behind that polished exterior, Max is ruthless. One afternoon, without hesitation, he kills a scientist simply because The man failed to complete a powerful new weapon on time. With their lives at risk, the remaining scientists are forced to continue the project. A few days later, Julia manages to smuggle Clay and his team back into the United States. She hides them inside coffins and uses her connections to bypass every layer of security. At the same time, Max oversees a test of the new weapon. The blast is devastating, strong enough to erase an entire island in an instant. During a private conversation, Max accidentally reveals classified information to Wade. The U.S. government plans to sell this weapon to countries locked in conflict, gaining profit from war. But Max forgets that the woman standing beside him is not supposed to hear any of this. To keep the secret buried, she is killed on the spot. Back in the States, Clay and his team start executing their plan. Rocky and Jansen pretend to be wounded soldiers near a border zone, requesting emergency rescue. Soon, a military helicopter arrives. While the soldiers are distracted, Cougar steps in and takes them down with tranquilizer rounds. The team now has a helicopter. To avoid being tracked, they remove the aircraft's GPS and attach it to a missile, sending it far off course. Once they regroup at their hideout, Rocky becomes frustrated. He demands to know why Julia is so determined to hunt Max. After being pushed for answers, Julia finally reveals the cause. Max is after a weapon of mass destruction. Rocky dismisses it as nonsense, but the final decision remains with Clay. The next day, Wade escorts Max in an armored convoy under heavy protection. Before the vehicles move, Rocky fires a tracking device onto Max's car. At a distance, Cougar is already in position with his sniper rifle. One precise shot stops the convoy in its tracks. The attackers still do not know where the hit came from. In the chaos, Rocky activates the explosive hidden in the tracker. Jansen then fires a device that locks Max inside the vehicle. Right on cue, Pachi and Julia swoop in with a modified helicopter and lift the entire armored car off the ground. The enemy begins firing, but the helicopter is reinforced and shrugs off the attack. When they returned to their hideout, the team was shocked to discover that Max was not inside the armored vehicle at all. Instead, all they found was a single hard drive. Clay was furious. He began to suspect that Julia had been working against them. The situation grew even worse when Jansen reported that the hard drive could not be hacked. Clay and the others reached a breaking point and were ready to kill Julia for betraying them. But before they went through with it, Julia insisted that she never knew what was inside the drive either. She believed only one thing. Whatever was on it was extremely valuable to the CIA, and they needed to use it to their advantage. Clay paused. He realized there was a possibility she was telling the truth. But Rocky refused to forgive her. The disagreement quickly turned into a heated confrontation between them. Meanwhile, Wade reported the failed capture to Max. Surprisingly, Max was not concerned. He did not panic, even after learning Clay and his team were still alive. Instead, he calmly ordered Wade to assemble an elite unit to hunt them down. The next morning, Clay was seen waking up beside Julia, something that only made Rocky more frustrated with him. Before another fight could break out, Pucci stepped in and convinced them both to cool down. In order to unlock the hard drive, Jansen infiltrated the company that manufactured the encryption device. Disguised as a delivery courier, he slipped into the building, then pretended to be an IT technician to access a restricted floor. The plan worked long enough for him to download the files they needed, but soon his cover was blown. With no weapon to defend himself, he attempted to escape through the elevator as guards closed in. At the last second, Cougar provided sniper support from a nearby building, giving Jansen the chance to get out safely. Once the drive was cracked, the truth came out. It contained records of massive sums of CIA money, along with the location of a hidden base connected to Max. Rocky suggested using the hard drive as leverage to clear their names, but Clay refused. Max was too manipulative and too dangerous to trust. They had already learned the cost of trusting him once before. Meanwhile, Wade met with a scientist to negotiate the completion of the weapon of mass destruction. The scientist, protected by hired mercenaries, demanded an extremely high price. Wade reported this back to Max, who immediately began planning a trap of his own. Back with Clay and his team, they begin scouting Max's hidden base from a distance. They are surprised to see that the place is heavily protected by elite soldiers. It becomes clear that this mission will not be easy. Clay gives each member the choice to walk away if they want. Rocky turns to Pachi and tells him to leave, reminding him that he has a family now and will soon become a father. If this mission goes wrong, his child will grow up without him. But before anyone can decide, Jansen uncovers a shocking truth about Fadil, the cartel boss from the beginning. It turns out Fadil had stolen $4 million from the CIA. That money was given to his daughter, and that daughter is Julia. The moment this information comes out, they confront Julia. A firefight breaks out. Julia manages to escape through a bathroom window, but Jansen is injured in the firefight. They rush him into a pharmacy to treat his wound. Clay begins to doubt everything. He questions whether they should continue the mission at all, especially now that he suspects Julia might be working with Max. But Rocky steps forward and says he is going to hit Max's secret base with or without anyone else. Inspired by his determination, the team decides to continue. They move to a shipping port where Max is believed to be operating. Once there, they launch their attack. Johnson hacks into the security system, while Clay and Rocky plant explosives around the area. Rocky then asks Clay to check one of the containers. Inside, Clay finds stacks of cash. While Clay is distracted, Rocky strikes him and knocks him unconscious. The rest of the team is captured as well. It was betrayal. Rocky planned to turn them in so the CIA would restore his reputation. And now the truth becomes clear. The hard drive they stole was a trap. This place is not a secret base at all, but a warehouse holding CIA money meant to purchase the weapon of mass destruction. Clay and his team were being used as scapegoats. Max had planned everything from the beginning so he could steal the money and pin the crime on them. At the same time, Max's men surround the scientists to force them to hand over the weapon. To erase all witnesses, Max orders the execution of Clay's team. But just then, a rocket strikes the area. Julia has arrived. Even though she still carries anger over her father's death, she now understands that it was all part of the CIA's manipulation. Instead of fighting each other, she joins Clay's team. Together, they launch a full assault on Max's forces. While the others battle, Clay chases Rocky, who is trying to escape while loading money onto a plane. Clay refuses to let the man who betrayed them walk away freely. The two engage in a brutal fight, but Clay is caught off guard, and Rocky kicks him hard enough to knock him unconscious. Wade notices that his private jet has already taken off. In a desperate attempt to catch it, he jumps on a Ducati motorcycle and races down the runway. But Cougar has been waiting. From a distance, with his sniper rifle steady, he takes the shot. The bullet hits perfectly, causing the motorcycle to crash into the jet. A massive explosion follows. With a single shot, Cougar brings down Wade, Rocky, and the stolen money all at once. But the mission is not over. Max is still holding the detonator for the bomb. Max hesitates. He cannot trigger it while he is still within the blast zone. That hesitation gives Clay a moment to act. Clay charges forward to take the detonator. Max, still thinking quickly, throws the device into the ocean. Clay immediately dives after it. At the same time, Max escapes. Before disappearing, he shouts a warning that he will return and take revenge. But Clay does not seem shaken. For him, exposing Max's true identity is already a victory. Some time passes. Clay and his team move on to another secret mission. This time they infiltrate a hospital, not for a battle, but to help Pachi meet his wife, who has just given birth to their first child. So the moral of the story is, never trust a mysterious CIA guy named Max, and also maybe stop making life decisions while playing cards for guns.